Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Planning Board meeting for August 20th, 2024. First order is a roll call of board members.
Bart Gregg.
Linda Little.
Carl Klankowski, Chair. For tonight's agenda, we have the following items: approval of the August 6th meeting minutes, privilege of the floor. For old business items, we have the following: Wilcox two-lot land division, final plat review and public hearing. Hamilton two-lot land division, sketch plat review continued. Board member training, potential zoning code amendments. That's the letter to the board. And for new business items, Crown Trumansburg AT&T generator project sketch plan review and board member reports. Any discussion or amendments to the agenda?
Looks good to me. I move to approve the agenda.
And one recommendation.
Well, okay.
Just like
Switch.
The order on some stuff?
you put AT&T right after Hamilton, just so that we can take care of like board stuff after everyone.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
That's right. Good one. You want a second? We
Yes.
need a second.
With
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the agenda is in place as it is amended.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Have you all had a chance to review the draft minutes for the August 6th meeting?
They look fine to me.
All right,
same.
okay, no
I-
corrections. Do I have a motion to approve?
So I move
Okay,
to approve the minutes.
all right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. The privilege of the floor is the portion of our board meeting where members of the public may make general comments on items that are not related to tonight's agenda items. Standard format for that is limited to 3 minutes per person. We request that you provide your name and address for the record before you start your comments, just so that we can capture for the public record who it came from and that, if we have to get back to people. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on items not on tonight's agenda? I don't see anyone there. Blixie, do we have anyone online that wants to take advantage of it? Or Molly, sorry, oh boy, sorry. Really, the doghouse. Doesn't look like it. Based on a lack of response.
I move that we close the privilege of the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Privilege of the floor is closed. For old business items, the first item is the Wilcox two-lot land division, final plat review and public hearing. David Wilcox is here. I applied for a minor subdivision for the subject site located at 3503 Jacksonville Road to subdivide the 10.3 acre lot into 2 lots. Board previously conducted sketch plat review on August 6th, scheduled a public hearing for tonight. During this final plat review, the board will conduct a public hearing, receive any public comment, assess the seeker, and review the proposal in respect to state and local laws and regulations. Do we have anyone here for public comment?
Should we open the hearing? First.
Yeah, open the public hearing.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now is an opportunity for members of the public to provide comment on the proposal. You can, or you can speak from where you are, whichever you're more comfortable with.
I have some serious concerns about that access.
Your name and,
Oh, my name is Sprague. I'm the one with the fence on there, 3471 Jacksonville Road in the drawing.
okay,
Okay.
I'm concerned about this access, this flag lot.
Is it,
Um,
does it go down one side of your property or the other? or-
It does. In the sketch, the way the driveway is, because there's the barrier of the easement from the Shermansburg, Ontario Telephone Company.
Yes,
And my concern is, a while back, that was probably 20 years ago now. Those culverts were changed. I have a lot of questions and concerns about how this access will work for heavy equipment to go back into the property with the intent of someone building a home. And how that'll impact my property. This whole access is just,
mhm.
there's a lot of unanswered questions.
What's your main concern, May?
My main concern is the traffic right up against my property line, the uncertainty with culvert pipes are gonna have to be replaced and trees down. You know, how that'll impact everything from the water situation to
Sure,
traffic through there.
you're concerned about trees being downed.
I'm concerned about a lot of things. It's gonna be right on my property line where this driveway goes into the back.
Uh-huh.
And I'm concerned about the easement and how that's gonna impact people. Being able to even get back there, let alone. Because, if you look at the drawing, it's just like, I don't know how many feet away this driveway will be from my property line. I don't know. How, because there's only,
it's,
the access to that back lot is very narrow,
well, it's a 62-foot wide entrance.
but where it goes into the actual land lot. Is less, I mean, I don't even know if it's 20 feet.
Oh,
So things are gonna
you're
have
saying
to
it
be
narrows?
Well,
The drawing doesn't show it as narrowing, it shows it as a uniform 62-foot
Oh,
back.
There's trees, there's brush, there's a
Oh,
culvert.
Okay, I think
Okay.
we're talking about two different things. You're talking
Yeah.
about the actual lane. And you're talking about
About the-
these
the-
yeah.
boundaries.
Sure,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
So, right there, it shows. So this, yes, is 62 feet wide.
Okay.
This is, I don't even think 20 feet wide, because you have a culvert here. You have a culvert here, tons of trees and brush,
Okay,
and the entrance is like. Back there, I would say it's about. Half of that.
so right now, does it actually function? Can somebody get through there to get into the site at all? It's
Yes.
impenetrable?
I mean, with a lawnmower or a very small vehicle, but it's really wet back there. I mean, I don't know. The
Okay.
culverts and things would have to be. An engineer would have to
Okay,
deal with that, but
is the culvert for a stream or just drainage?
I'm not sure. They did it, they
Culvert
replaced it.
drains from a ditch to drain off the neighbor's scales. They put that
They
in,
would know more
there's
about
a
that.
drainage ditch that runs right through two houses above and her property, and it goes down through my property.
Okay,
Okay,
So the
So-
culvert is like right here. And then it connects right here. So you have. A ditch here. And then it goes underground here. And turns into, kind of a ditch
yeah.
down the property line.
Right, yeah,
But my concern is if this driveway goes in here. It's gonna be right on top of my property line, and there's a ton of trees and brush,
which is your property, this one?
this one,
And that one, okay.
and how that'll impact. I mean, last
Right.
time they did the culverts, like, everything was cut down and stripped, and
Mhm. Right,
so I'm just concerned about.
Are the-
It's
are
a
the-
little unclear.
yeah.
are the
sure, got
trees
it.
predominantly inside your property line or
They're
both sides?
Both.
Okay. I would see if anybody else has. Okay, thank you for that.
No,
That
thank
was a good, see if anybody else has.
Is anybody else or public comment in the room? Anybody else online for comment on this Wilcox 2-lot land division?
Can I say something else? I have no issue with him splitting a lot. It's just that access is my concern. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Right,
Thank you.
yeah.
The access to be going around towards your neighbor, not towards your dog.
Oh, because that's not what the pictures was.
So that's what it is. There will not be any culverts added. They go around that fiber optic pad to the other side. Next to the other guy's house. Because there's that culvert that runs all
Right.
the way through underneath there. And then it goes back, and turns back to the hedgerow where the driveway is now. They will have to clean that out, but nothing on your side is gonna change. It would be widened on the neighbor's side. And there's probably 25 feet there that will be on that,
On their side, I'll have to.
on that piece of property. It won't affect your side. I mean, I can show you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think let's call it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to both of you. I don't see any other public comment.
Yeah. Mr. Wilcox, is there any, would you like to say any more?
There is a wet spot on the other side of the hedgerow where the land is,
Yeah,
but that would have to be raised up because you gotta put a driveway through.
yeah,
So that would be
Right.
taken care of. I
in
would
order,
imagine kid ditch would be cut into the drainage ditch as it is now.
yeah.
Well, in doing this, will it affect, what was your last name? I'm sorry.
Sprague.
Sprague. It won't affect her property at all. It
Affect her property.
won't affect the drainage from her property?
No,
Okay,
it will be drained probably on the other side,
okay,
away from her property.
But as it stands, just for the subdivision. There's no need to change anything, just to subdivide it. I mean,
No.
Right, it's not until you do, now,
They come
with
back
this
to build
property,
on it.
to build on it, it comes back to
It comes back
us.
to us. We'll have to
No,
look at it
that's what I
much more
was
closely
thinking.
then.
Yeah.
What was your, she had another comment?
Well, so I don't know why it would drain to the other side. I just really feel, okay, I need to just have someone clarify all these things that, because the drainage currently goes underground and drains on my side, so I don't, either way, it would end up draining on my side. Even if they connect with the other side. There's just a lot of unanswered concerns as far as how this is gonna work, because yeah, it's definitely, there's gonna have to be heavy equipment and different things going back there. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, there's lots of access points that could be done to this land, why you have an easement, you have barriers. It has to be right there. I mean, if that easement was never put there, because that was mapped on my original survey as a future road, then you'd have the middle line and you'd have it all appropriately done, but with that easement, it really causes.
So there are two issues here. So the way I see it, one is any objections to the actual splitting of his acreage. And the other is you're talking about the details of drainage and where the road will be built and what have you. Correct?
So my two issues, so the two issues I see are the splitting of his parcel and the access flag lot to
Right,
that parcel. So my concern is the flag lot to that parcel.
right. What's gonna be done on the flag lot to that parcel?
Correct.
Right. So that's a separate issue that we would take up when whoever decides to develop it has to come back to us and say, this is what we intend to do, what we plan to do. At
Or
that point, right?
because of it, they don't have to.
They don't have to, okay, sorry,
Because it's yeah, the zone, it's zoned agriculture,
okay, so
so
then,
they can just build. But they have to come,
Have to
how,
get a building.
a building permit, and how does that address water issues? Or drainage issues?
Normally it doesn't, but if the board approves it, you can place as many conditions as you want, so. The town has an agreement with Tompkins County Soil and Water. To review superficial plans that don't require state required swift review. There's also the town has MRB as an engineer who they've got a lot of experience with. Drainage, water issues as well,
Ah.
and they've also got to the town's culverts, so they're very familiar with. The culverts in the town, so if there's an issue there, you could place it as a condition that MRB or the county does. Review access roads, especially with that heavy equipment that she's.
Yeah.
Discussing.
Right,
So what's the
exactly.
wording we could put in there? Put this in the resolutions, all right?
If you want to make it as a condition. Well, one, if you approve it, I would suggest putting it as a condition for. Prior to building permit approval, that it be reviewed by MRB
Oh,
or the
okay.
county
that sounds, yeah,
for engineering review for drainage, culvert.
yeah,
The other question is if it's just gonna be a gravel road versus an asphalt road.
Right.
There's no requirement, the town doesn't currently require. Anything there.
Okay.
So, but that's a different. Piece altogether, you know.
Right, right.
yeah. So really, it comes back to. Yeah, okay. So do you understand that? What we're saying,
So
it's,
I.
because it-
I think I understand what you're saying is that you can put that in as a condition of a future building permit. That an engineer review. Or that
Right.
there's people reviewing.
the drainage at the,
culvert and
at
drainage
the, on the
and
pool.
What has to be done and how that would impact property owners nearby.
Right, because the land could be subdivided and sold and nothing ever done to it. Right? I mean, that happens all the time, people and, you know.
But that's not the intent of this.
Oh,
So-
well, I don't know that, yeah,
So that was my concern.
okay. So that's why we treat subdivisions separate from,
I
The building
understand that.
part,
but
yeah. yeah,
I guess I was looking at it as a prequel to.
right. No, raising it is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, no, because we can put something in that makes sure that it gets reviewed, you know, after when building begins, when they go for building permits. Yeah. Which is when. it should be. Yeah,
There's also, for both of your knowledge, there's a 18-month time limit. So once, if the planning board approves it and it gets recorded, there's an 18-month. Lifespan for this, so if the building permit doesn't come in within 18 months. The decision is moved. So. There's that time clock, just to be aware of.
I have a signed purchase order on it.
oh, okay,
I'm just waiting for the approval.
okay. With the intent to build. Okay,
It's a young couple that wants to build a house, got a 1-year-old kid, they want it out there. They would be coming for building.
right. Okay,
The other thing I heard was access concerns, road and potential vegetation removal. So again, the town doesn't have any regulations. on
Purview,
this.
right.
Other municipalities I've worked with do have requirements for example, fences or tree. You know, to create a screen there, you might want to consider that as a condition. If there's, you know, if there will be tree removal. Right now,
Yeah.
stuff like that, something to think of.
but if the tree removal. But if a tree blocks access to the field,
I think what I heard, I could be wrong, but I think what I heard was concern of,
the culvert.
well, that was one of the issues that engineers could review,
Yeah,
but. Increased traffic and impacting her property along that road, being close to her property. That's where you get screenage.
okay. Okay,
And they are gonna have to remove tree and. Dave is absolutely right, that wouldn't be on my property. But I'm not exactly sure when you go to remove huge trees, how that doesn't necessarily impact surrounding, I mean,
I
I've
know,
had a couple removed and,
I know.
but there'll have to be trees and brush and different things removed, and yes, I am concerned. I mean, the one good thing is it keeps my assessment down, having the phone company there. And all of that traffic, but I am really concerned about how. At least starting the building process and getting back there, it's gonna work. Because things are definitely gonna have to be cleared out, there's gonna have to be a lot of heavy equipment and things happening.
Mhm. Yeah,
You have suggested wording for that, Niels?
Well, which one? The engineering review?
Engineering review.
Everybody, I'm just struggling to hear you. I don't know how to turn this
What?
off. Can everyone just speak up?
oh, sure.
Yes.
sorry. Anything you want us to repeat, Molly, so far? Okay. All right, we should close the public.
Yes.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Close the public hearing portion. Let me get the next page of this.
so now our discussion,
Yes.
yeah,
Anything else we want to?
well, okay. So I think the engineering is what I'm unclear of is what right a neighbor has of saying that, no, you can't cut down any trees there on the edge of the property. Because,
Yeah, I think once you're over the property line, you know, I'm sure it changes the shading and that sort of stuff of the
Right.
land around it, because she's, you know, this driveway is to the south of your property. Right, going
I mean-
essentially, I think, isn't that an east-west sort of
Yeah,
track through there? So,
no, I'm sure it does.
yeah,
It has an impact, but
the front part, it looks like about the first 150 feet where your fence is on your property and where that phone company generating station is, that's pretty open back about
right, I think I own like another,
100 feet or something like.
yeah, well, I mean, my fence is not on the property line.
No, it's back in your
Yeah.
yard. Yeah,
But. What makes me nervous again is that access point to the lot. Because that's so narrow and there's gonna have to be work done back there for them
Right.
to access the actual lot.
but that's the back end of that, what is this, 230 feet. So roughly the first 150 foot off of this, the Jacksonville Road is pretty straightforward. It's roughly the last 80 feet where you get back and the lot finally opens out into the building lot that's beyond your fence on your property, right? And you're going west.
Where you
mean, you have
access
6
the
feet
lot is right
to
on my
work here.
property.
Right.
Yeah, the driveway looks like it curves back around
It
toward
may
your
not be
property
set up
line in that
correctly,
corner.
Right.
But
because
could go straight ahead too, because they got the full width going in, unless there's a obvious,
Because there's a culvert pipe
okay,
and there's, I mean, that's.
an
where they
open
put-
drainage ditch or something like that. So the culvert pipe is what physically toward your side back there in that corner.
Towards the other person's side, so they would have to have the driveway come against my side.
but that could be rearranged once.
That culvert pipe
Heavens.
and the drainage ditch, her pin is about 10 feet from that. When you go up the property line, that pin is about 10 foot beyond that culvert and drainage ditch. That driveway will curve towards her pin, but that's probably 8 feet away from her pin and then it goes out.
right, you can see
But-
that in the drawing.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
what stops the new owners from expanding toward the left back there instead of?
Well, they can expand towards the left.
Yeah.
Is it because it's too swampy or something that
No,
it's just the way it was set
a
up?
lot of tall-
Oh, okay,
They might have to take one or two down and widen it out, but it's away from her property, it's towards the other person's property.
Right. So once the engineering gets, so my thinking is that once the engineering to deal with the culvert appropriately, once building's being done, just. Because they have other, it sounds like there's other drainage issues that they're gonna have to deal with back there.
There's a wet spot when you get inside
Right,
beyond the hedgerow,
right,
and right there is the only wet spot on that property.
but that would have to be drained.
or
The
Tile.
driveway has to be
driveway
built up.
through it somehow.
Right, right, exactly. So some construction's gonna have to happen. And at the time, they can set it so that it's further away from that edge of the property would be, makes sense to me.
But it's all way beyond her property, it's all on my property.
Yeah,
I
right,
mean, if he wants to just let it drain down my property like it has for the past 100 years, that's fine, I don't care.
yeah, right.
I mean, it's not
Today.
till the end of June when I can get out there and mow it anyway,
Yeah, right.
because there's so much runoff in my pond out there, constantly leaks.
Hmm.
Muskrats.
Yes. Know them well. Okay,
Yes. Any thoughts or wording or?
Okay, so kind of similar to what we've used in the past, prior to building permit approval. Town's engineer, and I'm leaving it broad as the town's engineer because the town board can change engineer
Right.
year after year, so. Prior to building permit approval, the town's engineer and Tompkins County Soil and Water Division shall review. And provide comments on the proposed plans for the access road in relation to stormwater drainage issues. All comments shall be required to be complied with for the building permit to be approved.
sounds fair to me. Yeah. That's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Other than that, any other discussion? It seemed like a straightforward division.
Right.
right. Until this one.
Yes, well, that's
Right.
what the public hearing is for, is to provide an opportunity. All right,
So.
are we ready to look at the seeker then?
Mhm.
Let's see. This is resolution of seeker determining what those. And what's. So seeker must have two sides, but you guys have a hard copy of this or? I guess you do.
Yeah,
the
we
seeker.
do. I'm looking for the secret.
If you have that.
There it is. Okay, I'm set.
All right,
Um,
planning board resolution number 2024-015. Resolution of seeker determination for Wilcox two-lot land division located at 3503 Jacksonville Road, town of Ulysses, tax parcel 35-2-4.2. Let's see. How do we normally do this? Instead of going through all 15 of them, we just go down to the
well,
final, or you wanna?
yeah, okay, so 14 says should not result in an increase in the potential. But because we're just talking about the subdivision itself, that doesn't impact it. So it's going to be in the resolution with the condition, right? Okay, you go to that. So just merely subdividing doesn't impact the drainage.
All right. Now therefore, the planning board resolves the following, that the town of Ulysses Planning Board hereby makes a negative determination of environmental significance. In accordance with Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law and 6 New York CRR, Part 617. New York State Environmental Quality Review for the above referenced action as proposed based on the information in the short environmental assessment form. And therefore, an environmental impact statement would not be required. All in favor?
I make a motion to accept the resolution.
All right,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
Printed out the amended version, so. I'll
Right.
grab that for you.
All right,
Thank you.
Oh, good.
we'll let him get back before we do this is the one where he's gonna have a change in here.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood. See,
Where it goes,
Yeah.
yeah.
right?
Yeah, because. So that's, right, planning board resolution number 2024-016. A resolution of the final subdivision approval of the Wilcox two-lot land division located at 3503 Jacksonville Road, Town of Ulysses, tax parcel 35.-2-4 dot or .2. Yeah, this one. Did I go through all the details or just? Did you look at it a bit?
Yeah, let us look at.
Yeah.
Well, number 8 says that there is. Safely, and number 8, okay, to be used safely for building purposes without danger to health or peril from flood. Drainage or other menace to neighboring properties or the public health. Safety and welfare. Should we
That's
say so-
currently,
without doing anything?
Right.
No. Well, yes.
and that's
right.
why we have the,
And then we
That's
put the condition.
the condition about the building permit.
Yeah, but it's saying. Can be used safely for building purposes. But it can be used safely for building purposes.
With proper
without-
engineering, but
Yeah.
yeah, right now it says with,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
without
that's what I'm
danger
having
to-
trouble with.
or, you know, to. Danger to health or peril from fire, but it's the drainage or other menace to neighboring properties. Which I think, how do we handle that?
What if we merely put a statement said with proper engineering? Something like that.
How other boards have done it is, so after the last. Public health, comma, safety and welfare, you can
Right.
put a comma. Subject to the condition of approval. That's what
Okay.
we'll-
That
Okay, That-
would be
yeah.
good. Yeah, that's
right, because the drainage issue to the neighbors is definitely a part of that.
right.
Okay. With that modification, then, now now therefore the planning board resolves the following. Planning board hereby grants final subdivision approval for the proposed minor subdivision as described above. And as shown on the map noted on the subject to the condition below. Prior to building permit approval, the town's engineer and Tompkins County Soil and Water Division shall review and provide comments. On the proposed plans for the access road in relation to stormwater drainage issues. All comments shall be required to be complied with for the building permit to be approved.
So I move this resolution amended number 8 with a statement subject at the end of safety and welfare, subject to condition 1 below.
Yes.
second,
All in favor?
I,
Niels, hopefully you captured all that so we can put it in something that we can sign. And he should have that, what, tomorrow for you or something like that, or next day?
I can get your signature before we leave tonight.
Yep, yes.
good.
All right,
We're all done.
Yes.
yes, you're done.
I can go home, go to bed.
Thanks.
Next order of business is Hamilton two-lot division. Is that what you're here for? All right. Sketch plat review and continue that. All right, let's continue on with this. Got one and into the next one. You've been waiting patiently there. This is the one that came to us last fall. That,
About the farm.
what, yeah,
And
and
the,
then they went to the BZA and got the BZA approval to,
Right,
the 200 and some odd feet of road frontage. And then all the rest
Yeah.
of the land wraps around behind the 2 acre lot with the house on it already, so.
so I reviewed the BZA. Yeah, so
Yes.
there's some changes now to the map from what we saw. Can you talk?
Yes.
Is that, can you talk?
I apologize, my husband's been doing all of this, but he's just not feeling well, so he got bedtime the other day.
The other three. No, some
Or however many you're dealing with, yes.
So,
So we adjusted the setbacks of both the side, and I'm looking to you, because I know you know all the details of this as well. The setbacks for both this, the right side, I guess, and then the back, so the lines are a little bit different than they were before. They're further from the existing
Buildings,
buildings. And so the acreage increased a little bit
for the house lot, right?
for the one that's currently established,
Yeah.
yes. And so there was only one variance, which was the road frontage, and that was what was approved from the BZA.
And I can flesh out a little bit more, so. Where the applicant was before the planning board, they were trying to do a cluster sub,
Yes,
and the thing that was
Right,
confusing, and it's confusing even for me. Is our language of requiring, like it's a convoluted environmental assessment. They don't call it an environmental assessment, but I think that's what was becoming very convoluted. And even though it's a 2 lot plat, which is normally a minor subdivision, because it was a cluster, it triggered major subdivision requirements, and it just became a big headache.
unwieldy.
yes.
So they tried to go through a variance instead, and so yes, the BZA granted a reduction of 400-foot frontage down to 254. They'll be sharing a drive, so there won't be any new access road. But there was a condition of the approval that only one dwelling unit could be put on each house. So in total, there's only going to be 2 homes in perpetuity.
Okay,
And the way the BZA got to that point is they could, if they wanted to, they could do 2 homes on the site right now with an ADU.
right,
So they felt like there was.
it's just a line on the map.
Right.
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 So that's how they got.
What did the
So-
setbacks finally end up? I know we talked about a minimum 15 feet because they started around 10 feet or something by the buildings.
So they've got, they will meet all their setbacks. So the barn, there's an existing barn in the
Barn.
back that'll meet setbacks. The
Oh,
proposed
so it
house.
meets the standard
Yeah.
ag,
compliant.
ag residential setbacks.
Yep.
Okay. That's why the only one variance is for the width of the road frontage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that keeps more distance between the houses and that sort of stuff, but.
So, okay, so how is that there's only 2 houses on that whole, those 2 parcels? Or the 2 parcels then? Is that
Right.
what it,
So if the
how did they
planning
state
board,
that?
yeah, if the
Okay.
planning board approves the subdivision. They can do 1 new home on the new lot,
Right,
and that's it. So no more, they wouldn't be able to do an ADU.
and how does that get specified? Is in the deed restriction?
There would be a deed restriction that the property owners would work with their attorney,
Okay,
and then we would need to see that prior to the.
approving, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's a property right next to ours that has a whole area that's designated and do not build.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, similar, so I've seen that before. Okay,
So
sounds good to me. So,
do I have a motion to schedule a public hearing for Hamilton two lot division on, in our case, our next meeting is the third Tuesday in September. We don't have one right after the Labor Day weekend, so you're looking at a month, unfortunately.
That'd be the 17th.
Yep.
So
oh, I was second. Sorry.
All right, no, that's good. All in favor?
Hi.
And Niels will get you the signage. It just needs to be up 10 days before. So you got a couple weeks before you really need to get it out there and that. And then the regular notification to the neighbors within,
No, before I actually do that, though, I'll touch base with you and Michael to see if your attorney and whatnot can drop that. If that's enough time for you guys to.
It should be, we have a plat at the surveyor right now, they just haven't been able to get it done yet. But we can reach out to our attorney and I mean, we've got a month essentially, so.
probably works out okay,
Good,
right?
sounds good,
well,
all right,
All right.
thanks your company being so patient.
So then we want to go to AT&T Crown.
good.
Let our other visitor finish and then. All right, our next order of business is new business item Crown Trumansburg AT&T generator project sketch plan review. Let's see, applicant Catherine Conklin, she's online,
Yes,
AT&T
yes.
agent on behalf of the owners, Crown Castle. Proposes to install a new backup self-contained 30 kW diesel generator and 4 foot by 10 foot concrete pad within the leased area of the existing telecommunications tower. So would one of you care to kind of walk us through what you're doing?
Okay, yeah, I'm Catherine Conklin, sorry. Yeah, we're following the federal mandated FirstNet program, adding backup generators in certain areas. And it's mainly for your first responders in case of emergencies. But our generators are they're enclosed. It's a tank within a tank. So I know you had some questions about leakage.
yes,
Yes,
Yeah, and I sent Niles a paper that I think he gave to you, but
Yep.
the tank is in a rupture basin, which is a secondary containment system. And if something does happen, which I've never heard of it happening, but if a leak does occur, an alarm goes right directly to the National Operational Control Center. So it's taken care of immediately. But the fuel tanks are, the generators are tested twice a month. And it's a 20-minute run with a 10-minute cool down. And it takes about 2 gallons of gas for the testings. And usually they do it at Mondays or Tuesdays in the morning, but we're flexible. This property is kind of in the middle of, there's no houses around it, so I don't think that'll be a problem with time of when it's tested, but do you have any questions? For me, I mean, it's just a backup generator that we're putting in for first responders.
And this had been approved before
2022.
2022. I was on it when it came, but not when it finally, I was on the board at the time. Mo, it's too bad Mo's not here. You'd probably remember so.
Yeah, so digging through the planning board history, like we found in 2022,
Yeah,
they did a co-location for additional antennas. and the generator. But it doesn't look like the generator ever made it through, so,
Right.
and similar to the short plot, there's a time limit. So that part of the approval expired, but this would technically be considered a review of a previously approved
Right.
site plan.
And nothing has changed legally
Right. Correct.
that would negate that. Yeah, so. So it sounds straightforward to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, the tank meets.
right, with the secondary containment, I was perfectly comfortable with it there. Yeah, cause you know, the generator is probably gonna sit there for 20 years or more is my long-term view on it to say, but if you've got, you know, secondary containment on it, the chances of it rusting through and then finally causing a problem, because it sits up off the ground on rails that are about 3 inches high. So it's not, the tank is not sitting right on the concrete pad, it's up in the air.
And it's
Yeah.
double wall, so there's a gap with a
Yeah,
alarm in there, right? Is there a catch basin around the double wall?
Yes, there's a cat, it's a rupture basin, yes.
So there's two,
This is
Amen.
not,
yeah,
oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, hold on. I better look before I say something. Um. I have a photo. I think Niall said he'd like to have a screenshot.
Yeah.
Can I share that, I guess?
Almost if you want to do a screen share.
Well, it's not up on rafter. It's on the pavement, like, but it's gonna be on a concrete pad. So I want you to know that, because you had,
Right.
yeah, okay. Can I share? I don't know how to share it. Okay, you can request a host.
So you're saying if there was flooding, it would still in that vicinity?
It's flooding, it would be fine because it's up on a concrete pad. It's just not, it's like a 3-4 inch concrete pad.
Okay,
well, I mean, there are engineering requirements for the pad
Mhm.
as well as
Yeah.
the bolt. What
yeah,
have you that are addressed in here?
And in the construction drawings,
You should be able to do that.
that's page S1 if you're looking at them, I don't know. Tells you all about the concrete pad. It's 4 inches. 4 by
Yeah.
10.
So if you wanted to share that photo, you should be able to do a share screen at this
I'm
point.
trying to, oh, here it goes. Okay, well, this is can you see a full screen? I don't know.
it's coming.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
You see the blue tarp, that's where we're putting it. And you can see the other one back here. I don't know if I have a better photo here.
well, and from the plat maps, the actual site is on the sort of the raised hump between
Right,
the stream and then the other drainage valley down the other side, so it's sitting up
Yeah.
already, I think it'll be fine the way
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, it was just mine looking at the New York environmental regs and that, the issue with a potential, you know, if you didn't have secondary containment, but you already got that built in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I-
already built in.
Okay.
And if for some reason it does crack or something, it goes, a silent alarm goes automatically to the center.
okay,
Any other
because
questions?
we do have earthquakes sometimes.
Yeah,
Oh,
our earthquakes out here on the East Coast. don't
I'm in
record it.
Maryland, yeah, we know it's,
They're fairly gentle, they roll a bit and last longer. I spent 20 years on the West Coast, so
oh geez, okay.
difference between a real earthquake and an East
Yeah,
Coast
I know.
earthquake.
Oh, yeah.
Good change.
Yeah, it could happen. Well, look at out there in Oklahoma and that after they
Yeah.
pumped all the wells on
Wells
and all this
dry,
stuff,
right,
yeah.
Exactly,
So, yeah,
okay.
all right.
Um,
Do I have a
So-
motion to schedule a final plat review? Do we need public hearing on this too?
You're not required to, but it's up to your review.
I don't think so, because
There's
it's
not
not
enough
gonna,
neighbors close enough.
Yeah, there's no neighbors around there, it's all
yeah.
It's
Power.
all-
The notification really is just the same.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think it's worth the bother.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are okay with it. And it was approved already in 2022 and then physically just completed
Right.
what they didn't do then.
Yeah,
so,
expectations were already set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, let's,
Okay.
there will be no public hearing. Okay. So final site plan review. Our next meeting though isn't until the 17th of, no, it must be, can't be the September 17th. That's still within your 60-day
Right.
FC window, so.
Okay. Okay, that's great.
Let's see. Final site plan review. Or
When you,
a motion to schedule that.
I so move.
second,
All in favor?
I,
All right. I'm trying to.
when
get
in doubt,
background.
do a.
Do a motion,
do a
yeah,
motion.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Yes. So. Board member training, we already got the update there, and it looks like all of us may have some version of corrections to deal with, but.
Yes,
You gotta.
nice, good, thanks.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
figured getting it for all of us was a one liner. Trying to do my job.
So for corrections, please email me and Molly,
Oh,
and then we'll just coordinate with fixing.
oh,
Okay.
okay.
I can remember.
We'll get this under control here. Let's see. I got a call from our town board rep about 5:30, he's loading students back into Cornell. So that's why he's
Through
not
the
here
strike.
tonight. Yeah, that's probably why.
UAW is striking,
And
yeah.
he had a question, Niels, something about a couple of single wide trailers going in. I remember last fall when we were looking at DD3 about apparently the only place the town lets them go is into existing mobile home parks. Is that where these are going? He said he thought there was one on Cold Springs Road and the other one was actually in Jacksonville.
For those questions, he needs to reach out to Mark.
Mark,
Yeah.
okay. You, sir, are you here for some other purpose or just observe? Okay, I wanted to make sure we weren't wasting your time if you had.
Comment period at the end.
We can,
I didn't do that on the agenda. It's only in the beginning.
Normally only in the beginning, but if you've got,
Yeah.
you're here, we might as well take care of you and let you find out what you're here for. Just observing?
Would you like to
Okay.
Make comments,
Right?
you like to make comments,
I just had a couple of questions.
feel free.
Sorry.
okay.
Okay, well, we're certainly not trying to cut you out of it. So the other thing then that I had added to the agenda for tonight is a letter from us to the town board explaining how we want to operate in relation to zoning changes.
Right.
And we've got a couple drafts of that around here already. I think the Chat GPT version of my starting point to me reads pretty close.
Yeah.
And
I
we
didn't even go through it line by line, it just.
Yeah, it looked close enough to me that I think. Niels, did you get a look? I don't know if you were cut in on that final version of that or not.
I believe with Bart, but I think Bart's,
Bart?
but I think that was for the sign code only.
Right, it was. And there
Okay,
was another one.
there's a second one that we did that we had Bart take my initial letter and run it through Chat GPT just to kind of smooth down the wording and put the thoughts in a clearer pattern. And that I'll go and forward to you now so that
I
you've
got
got it. You've got it.
Yeah.
You want to just forward it to him and.
Yep.
So he can,
Yeah, one thing The only thing, I like
Right.
it, because I think it's a good beginning for the charter, like a charter
Right.
between us and the town board.
How we're going to
in the
do this,
committee and
yes.
how we're gonna operate. So the one thing that I think we need to add is, not only do we generate things, but we can get things from the town board. Like, for example, the 2,000 square foot lakefront,
Right,
you know.
yeah, that's what I meant
that
by
was too.
specific referrals. You know, if
Okay,
it's
I
stuff
didn't
that
pick
comes,
up on that,
yeah,
okay,
that's why I put that in the. I says, as problems with specific paragraphs of the 2019 zoning come to the planning board's attention by a day-to-day business or specific referral.
okay,
If-
okay.
If that is
And the
okay to
ag
cover.
district was kind of a specific
Right,
referral
yeah,
as well, that's
if
a
the
good
town
point.
board assigns it to us.
Why
it's
don't you say
something-
specific reserve, yeah, what if we said specific referral from the town board? Cause that implies the process changes a little, because you don't have to get agreement from the town board that we should.
They already assigned it to you.
Yeah,
Okay, cause
yeah, cause it causes the path to be a little different.
should we make that as a separate, you know, I was thinking more that if somebody, you know, either the BZA or,
Mhm.
you know,
Or Neil
Niels or
and
Mark,
Yeah.
you know, I'm looking for inputs from everybody across the town. Because, whoop. All right, I'm not into overtime that I can tell yet. Anyway,
Yeah,
because I think all of us have issues with different parts of the current zoning. And if the town board is looking at, after they get the comp plan done, to go in and update the zoning. You know, if we get a head start on some of these things, you know, I was first thinking of putting it out when they get the, you know, a steering committee together. This really, I think, should go in as the markup.
Mhm.
You know, if we've thrashed through a bunch of these items already ahead of time, when they go to mark up the current one, I would think that would be the point they would substitute in
The law,
stuff,
yeah,
stuff
and-
that's
and I
already
saw that,
been
right.
hashed out. Some of it, you know, may need to happen right now or sooner. But I think a good part of this is just going to sit there till the next update. But instead of waiting 2 or 3 years to get started on this, it gives us time to look at it and solicit inputs from people that are dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. And gives everybody time to think about it.
Mhm.
So.
Right.
So should we then just add an essentially another line for the source of, or handle? Because if the town board assigns it to us, we still gotta get in and look at the details and figure it out, and then I think probably go back to the ad hoc committee.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, we need, I mean, one of the things like with the ag district issue was that we didn't go back and make a formal presentation.
Right.
To the town board.
Yeah,
I think, or
That-
that would have mitigated it. some
yeah,
issues.
it would have given more people an opportunity to
Yeah.
know about it and time to respond. Cause I thought we didn't start till January, but reading back through the minutes,
November.
it was like November or October that this thing started and.
Yeah.
And so. Well, then. How do we go about sending a formal letter to the town board? Do we just address it to them like the chat? GPT, is there a standard format for that, or do we just create it and give it to them and see what happens?
So I got Bart's email. With, he gave me both, I think maybe your original and then
The one that he,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
you wanna give me some. Final, like if you wanted to add something, just give me something final, I can put it into a memo form.
Oh,
And
okay.
generally. What I've done, like with BZA or previously, is I'll give that to Caitlin, she puts that on, well, Caitlin and Carissa, they put it on the town board's agenda. And then it goes from there.
yeah.
So is the ad hoc committee formally organized yet?
I haven't tried to call a
Think so.
meeting with it, but
Well,
Caitlin spelled it out pretty clearly. It's her deputy.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Boggs, it's me, and Niels.
Well, what if
and
the,
one more.
yeah, what if the ad hoc committee,
Squelches it.
well, organized first before it went to the town, decided that that's the way they would want to operate?
I think at this
Would that
point,
be-
we should go back to the town board
Yeah.
and just get this
Because,
moving.
because they're members of the town board,
Yeah,
are also members of the ad hoc committee.
Yeah,
It's not
but
like-
you'll get more of the town board weighing in.
that's
you might
fine.
want.
That's what I want is the town
Yeah, we
board
want
weighing in on this.
transparency too, right? That's another thing.
No, I mean.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
rather not wait. I'd like
yeah,
to
it's
get
fine.
this moving.
It's fine. It was just.
Yeah, no,
fine.
well, you've been on, in this chair a long time and understand more details than I do about this. I have no hesitation as an engineer
Not
to
this part.
write it up and say, go for it. And, you know, if you don't like it, tell me so.
Right.
It's the old military command by negation. This is what I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. If you don't jump up and
Yeah.
smack me soundly or tell me no, it ain't gonna happen, then I'm gonna march off smartly and do it. You had your chance.
Right.
And that's that.
Okay,
So-
so, yeah, that's fine. So. Neil-
So I think essentially the chat GPT version, I would be game to go with that and send it to them and
As is.
as a formal, there's a couple GPT comments in there that don't need to be
Oh,
there,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but other than for that, I would prefer to sign it before it goes in. You can email it to me and I can
Okay.
scan a, PDF copy back to you or something like that.
Okay.
Or tell me when to come up to your office. I'm still here this week. Next week I'm gone, but if we can get it done this week and that way it'll get on their September agenda. I don't know when they schedule their next meeting but
Yeah, I'll send that to you tomorrow.
okay, sounds great. And then we'll go that way and
Mhm.
see what happens. I want to get something out there in writing that if they don't like it, they can tell us specifically what they don't like. And we'll go from there. Yes, sir.
Well, I will ask my questions.
Okay.
What is the ad hoc committee's purpose?
Caitlin Olson, there was some couple issues have come up over the last year that the town or the planning board spent a lot of time working on an issue or two, but we didn't do a good job of bringing the town board into it. And it unfortunately was something that dealt with the county rather than within the town. And the final, what happened with the county wasn't exactly what the planning board would have liked. It kind of was dead opposite to that. But because we hadn't really taken the effort to specifically get on their agenda, there were town board members that when I went to meetings later said, I didn't know about this until April, that this issue was coming. By that time, the county was voting the next week on it. There was no way to fix it at that point. If we started in November with something, by January or February, when we sent our first letter to the county, that's the time we should have, as the planning board, been on the town board's agenda. Just like this clean group was in a month or so ago and made a presentation on the stuff under the lake. I think it's for us to tighten up the way we do business and make it more
So
formal.
the ad hoc committees.
The ad hoc
direction
committee
is what?
is kind of a screening in there is all it's for. And that's really why I want us as the planning board to make sure that we have a solid proposal so that if something pops up and it's a one-off or somebody's complaining this week about something, we don't run to them with everything. I'm brand new as the board chair. And I think we need to build, reputation with the town board that says if we come to you with something, we mean business. And we will bring it into via the ad hoc committee to get it on there, formally on their town board
I'm
agenda.
still confused as the ad hoc committee's composition
Oh, it's
is to do,
really, is
make recommendations to.
no, it's to take what the planning board wants to send to work on as. There's several things already on the town zoning that we would like to attack.
I'm gonna get to that, that's my next
Okay.
question, go ahead.
Anyway, when I first brought some of them up, Caitlin Olson says, well, we don't want you to work on this. We want to be able to provide guidance on what you're actually spending your time working on. We're assigned by them, so it makes sense. But if there's things we want to work on, like in this specific, we've got signage in the town as one. Streams are another issue that are becoming a problem because there is a radical difference between the USGS stuff that shows up in the zoning and the stuff that comes out of the Tompkins County mapper. Those are some of the things that we want to get into.
But you
As-
need a committee to do this? Can't you
No,
just
as the
share?
planning board, we're going to do that, but we want to work with the town board so that both of us are on the same sheet of music. And so I'm perfectly game to go through this ad hoc committee. What we'll do, the planning board will chew over what we want to tell them and put the specific points together and examples of it. And then I'll schedule one of these ad hoc committee meetings and see what happens.
So who is the ad hoc committee?
It is Caitlin's first deputy, so the town supervise,
That's Rich Goldman,
Pardon me?
Rich Goldman.
Is the deputy?
okay,
Who's the lady?
I thought so too, but,
She's
Second.
going,
oh, okay. Anyway, that's all right.
Rich Gold,
He's the first, Michelle's the
he
second.
was once a trust, council.
Isn't he still on the town
She's
board?
still on the town board?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Two hats.
You
Two hats.
got Rich and you got
And
Michelle.
yourself.
Niels
Michelle.
and me. And
One more planning board, and that can alternate depending.
who wants to be involved with this?
Yeah, whoever
Is
has the
best
most
able to
energy, speak
to
the
speak
issue.
to the issue.
That sounds good.
Yes, my next question is going to ask, what? It's on the agenda, what zoning changes are in the wind? That you're supposed to be considering or looking at or reviewing or?
Well, there's 4 of them right now that we're looking at. This is probably a good time to introduce why I brought what I refer to as my 5th grade artwork.
By the way, everybody, this is a friend of mine, Pete Houghton, who
Oh.
has, yeah.
introduced-
Pete-
I've been meaning
yeah,
to walk down the street and get to know you. I
Right,
live at 1375 Deganic. I'm just
Find
up the
out.
road from you.
yeah.
You are, there was
Anyway,
other
he's,
things that came up.
yeah, he was active in a lot of, when
Okay.
the zoning was going on.
So
he
this
was
is what the town looks like, as I understand it, based on the USGS streams and intermittent streams.
Mhm.
Okay, and there's 13 intermittent streams and 6 full-time streams along the lakefront, and they scatter out across the whole town.
6 and 3,
6 full-time and 13
13,
intermittent.
actually, 13 is.
You wanna hang on to
Yeah,
that for
sure.
a second for me?
It's mapped by USGS.
Right, that's the USGS
Mhm.
7.5 minute survey, which is what's in the definition in section paragraph 22
In
of
the
our
zoning.
zoning.
Yeah.
And in 124 where it talks about the setbacks.
Yeah.
Then when you go to the Tompkins mapper, this is what happens. There are now 50 intermittent streams up along the lakefront. Over here, this tiny little creek out here, what is it? It's. I can always confuse the B and the name on it. There's Boardman, I think, is up there, and this other one down here goes from 2 intermittent streams on there to 9 intermittent streams.
But not, that's in the AR zone.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
problem is, wherever you have a stream, you've got setbacks.
Yeah.
And every property that it
I'm
goes
aware of
through.
it.
And the lakefront, you get some properties up in here that now have intermittent streams on both property boundaries. And you had a table with all the widths of the different lakefront properties a few years ago.
Yes, I did.
Is there a possibility of me getting a copy of that?
Once I find the box that is packing.
Oh, okay, well, otherwise, I think Neil's indicated they had one. If you've got something electronic, I will come in and spend time in the office to get to it. Anyway,
No, yes,
this is what I refer to as the streams issue. The wetlands,
so who has mapped this? The county of Tompkins? Engineering department, the
Every-
planning department?
all you do is go online to Tompkins Mapper, pull up their property view version of it under the GIS section, and go to Stream Saver. And it just gives you all this stuff. That's, it's modern technology.
Walk me through that link again,
Okay, go to,
Tompkins County,
it's called Mapping Tompkins.
mapping Tompkins.
Right, just go
Okay.
online and it'll pop right up, and there is a GIS section.
Yep.
If you go to that.
Yep.
And skim down the page, it has a bunch of different views, and one of them is called property view.
property view. Okay.
Yes, and what property view gives you. I'll put this down. Give you a breakdown, but anyway, this is. I created these by printing, copying and printing pages, put them together. Because GIS will not print documents for individuals. I don't know if we can get them to
Property
do the
view
town.
give you the tax maps.
Well, it gives you.
Yeah, it does give you.
It gives you tax maps, it gives you the property addresses and all this kind of stuff, and it also shows all these little intermittent
It
streams and all
also
the rest of
shows the
it.
street.
Yeah, that's kind of the starting point that I use. If you go to the Stream Saver version, it adds that blue width, that's the setback.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
But the problem is, it has one default, it's 100 foot wide, it's 50 foot on either side of the stream. You don't get a choice, you can't select 25 foot, you can't select 50 feet, it's 100 foot or nothing. Whoever created the program decided that was that. Anyway. This one I use for me to begin to understand how the town is put together. We deal with a lot of property splits and that sort of stuff. And if you look at our comp plan, we talk about being this rural, like we were out there and up in Seneca County where it's all open farms and not many houses. This has an awful lot of the look of a bedroom community to me. You know, when I look down the roads and there's just nothing but every property, I refer to it somewhat as a jigsaw puzzle, the way these properties are all split up. But your parents potentially and that are ones that started some of these property splits. Mr. Wilcox tonight, the first house that he's in on that property was built in 1835. That what looked like it used to be a 30 acre piece of ground now has 7 properties on that same piece of ground.
What's the color code?
The color code over here, this is where it gets ugly. Like the pink is recreation,
Oh,
the green is the ag, this is supposed to be ag. But we've found there's all sorts of issues with this color coding, because if there's a house on an 80 acre farm, they often show it as residential, even though 70 acres of that 80 acres is actually active farmland. So there's real serious discrepancies with using this as valid data, but it certainly gives me an idea where all this stuff is broken up and what we're doing to it. And it also shows all these little additional streams and stuff in there.
So one of your 4 issues
Is
concerning the zone is the stream issue.
this stream issue.
What are the other 3?
Well, signage in the
Oh,
town.
signage, okay.
If you drive through Jacksonville and look at that clinic up there that has this big banner down the front of it, it's like urgent care or something like that, right in the middle of, anyway. Well, we have a signage that says you can't cover more than 80% of the facade of the building.
It's
Well,
also in an intersection.
yeah,
After reading the chat PG, now I'm.
But-
I haven't.
well,
Sorry.
anyway, that's where that's Mr. Boggs, our town board reps. Okay, there's another one that has to
Who
do
was
with
the town board rep to here?
Michael Boggs.
Boggs.
A third one is wetlands. And wetlands is kind of, I think,
Stir up the
because
pot. Yeah,
I think that one's sort of a done deal because the DEC is
It's
changing.
either federal or state.
Well, no, in 2019, the town added local wetlands. But they never added anything in the definitions of local wetlands. But in July of 2019, they adopted a 2012 wetlands map that includes local wetlands on it. But there
Were
is
not
no,
part of the federal or the state.
no, they're
DEC.
separate, they're different
This is in the
ones.
zoning code?
It's in the zoning code. If you go to 124, paragraph 124, there's a table in there. And it has the streams first, and then it talks about wetlands and setbacks from all of those,
Federal, state and.
local. And the problem with the local is there is no minimum size to those local wetlands.
Well, this is Mr. Wilcox's wet hole,
Right,
wetlands.
yes.
yeah, right.
And
Can't do anything with it.
over here,
Gotta go around it.
when you drive out of town, we're what is it? DD3, just
Oh,
as you cross
yeah.
over Trumansburg Creek on the right-hand side, that triangle splits and there's water stands out in there.
Yeah.
Where Mangus was.
Where
Yeah,
Bar Angus was gonna go in, but anyhow, you see the beauty barn up beyond it up there. the Halseyville Road splits off of 96. Look in that corner, they've got it mowed, you can see the water sitting there.
It's a local wetland.
That's a local wetland.
It's mapped as a local wetland. Is there a
No.
map of the local wetlands?
It's on the town board site. Just go to the Town of
Our
Ulysses-
zoning site includes,
town of Ulysses, New York.gov.
yeah,
And there is a wetlands map on there. It was adopted by the town board in the July of 2019 as they were working through this zoning update. But they never put a cross-reference in there that actually tells you that's what you're supposed to go to.
Mm.
The setbacks has this nice table with all these setbacks and added local wetlands. There is absolutely no reference to anything for those.
Was
and
there
there's no
criteria?
definition of
Was there a
wetlands.
Definition of the criteria they used to create it?
No, well, it's on the map itself. There was a big conference up in Rochester up there in 2012. The DEC and a whole bunch of Cornell University and a whole bunch of folks went together and created that wetlands map. And if you look at the bottom, the legend at the bottom has like blue for federal and
State? No.
state and yellow for local. And that also shows all these little streams on there, but there are no red, blue or yellow lines around any of those streams. That's why I deliberately break streams and wetlands into two very specific issues.
So that's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, signs,
Fourth,
signs,
Wetlands, streams.
streams.
And
It's the fourth one.
So,
Oh, I can
Say it
pull it up.
again.
No, just a second. I'll pull it up for you. I've got it on an Excel
Oh, wait,
spreadsheet.
my other question, probably pretty simple, probably deals. The town or the planning board training. Process or what's
yeah,
the,
right.
who conducts it and how often? And
Process, use that word, please.
Yeah.
We are required to
Fighting
do
our way.
4 hours of like the mandatory, harassment training and,
No, 1 hour. of
well,
harassment.
but
Then-
there's 4 different mandatory trainings that we have to do every year. And then we're supposed to do another 4 hours of general education type. There's a New York site that has 150 different courses on it. And we just pick out of those and
all right, you
It's-
do it individual.
you do it
Yeah.
individually,
Not
usually
the-
online. And
Mhm.
you gotta be able to capture the data off, sometimes it gives you a certificate. Sometimes you gotta be smart enough to have a Word document open, so when you finish the test and it jumps up on the screen, you can do a screenshot and paste it into a Word document so you can turn it in.
This is annual,
And every year, yes, 8 hours every year.
8 hours.
4 of it is mandatory stuff and the other 4 is optional. All right, now let me get you this,
Mandatory is spelled out as what it has to be.
Right,
right,
You don't get to choose out of
No,
100.
no.
no. That's the standard,
Huh?
how we do business as a town,
Ethics.
ethics and harassment, and there's a couple other subjects, but
Well, I have,
standard, you probably had that, wherever you worked, you had the same issues, so.
well, I have my state engineer's license. I have to do continuing education
Okay,
every 3 years.
well,
And
I-
the same thing.
yeah. Well, I was licensed as a mechanical engineer for about 35 years, so similar issues. But,
Thank you.
where's, this?
And,
Yeah, I'll get to this one in a minute. I'm just
Got it.
not the speediest guy around
Signing.
on this.
Oh, the development districts.
Yeah, development districts.
Was it? We need to
Well, which
relook
parts?
at.
There's
Yeah, there are
about
some
8 or
there.
10 of them.
You want
and-
more or less?
No, well, there's about half of them that have been sitting vacant for a decade or more. What do we do with them?
Oh,
Do
they
we,
mapped
they're,
specifically for development and nothing's happened.
well, the business that was there died and went away, and the land, this restaurant, just as you go south out of town on 96. That sits right there, just as you cross Trumansburg Creek, has been vacant for 10 years or more. That's Development District 3.
Munis can develop like he does with the building permits after 18 months or whatever, just 24
Well,
months. If
that's,
nothing happens.
If
It's
the-
no longer. a
if the
district.
business, well, that's part of the thought, is that if it goes away
Yeah,
for some
that's what we
period
need
of
to do,
time,
3 years. 4
yeah,
years.
it reverts back to whatever zoning district it's in. If it's an ag rural, it becomes ag rural land. It's something to
sense.
do with it to force the issue instead of letting it sit there for a decade or two. That's the 4 that we currently have on there.
Okay.
And I'm really looking for inputs from all the town boards, the BZA. I know Caitlin's piped up, and so I've got several articles in there. Well, why don't we start looking at those things ahead of time? When we got time to think about them, and if we need to dig up details, we get a chance to dig up the details. And then submit it to the town board, and if we get it packaged approved, it doesn't have to be enacted right now. There's nothing wrong that I see, to have it pre-staged that we know these 27 paragraphs in the damn zoning we don't like. And this is the fix.
Is there a timeline for the updated comprehensive plan that they're supposed to? report
It's
back
supposed to
the
happen,
board?
it's supposed to happen next year. We finally got the contract in place
2025?
in 2025, yeah. And the plan there is that when the comprehensive plan looks like it's going to complete in 2025, they would go to the state for a grant to update the zoning to match the new comprehensive plan, which is what should happen.
And you'll hire a consultant.
Right, and we'll hire a consultant, and it'll take 9 months or so, 6 to 9 months to get that in place. But in the meantime, we've had a year and a half or two that we could be constructively dealing with some of these things and putting together proposals that are already vetted between the different town boards and the town's, controlling board, and sort of have it as a canned answer instead of waiting until they finally get a contract in place and mark up the copy and we start from there.
Is the consultant now working with the comprehensive plan?
Yes.
And,
MRB, the engineering firm that, yeah, they have the contract. The next meeting is, well, the next meeting is the 6th, next meeting is the 6th of September at 5:30 in the afternoon,
Comprehensive.
the
plan.
5th, 4th, okay. Yeah, the
How
comp,
big is that committee? That's a.
the steering committee is like up to about 10 of us.
10.
I got
You're
assigned, I'm the Lake Shore rep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so,
Thanks for indulging. I appreciate it.
oh, I would like to do lunch with you sometime at the Pines while you're up here.
Well,
Just,
I'm here for it.
oh, you're here, okay, you're right. Just as you come around the corner, you have that nice parking space with the wood fence around it. That's your house. Okay,
Then I also own property to the north.
yeah. Well, anyway, if you continue up the road, 3 guardrails, I use that as my 0 point when I'm counting guardrails to know where to turn off for 1375.
You're north of the Fox property?
Oh, yeah. Let's see, 1373 is, Police Right Connect, and I'm at 1375.
How's that? I was Foz's big.
Yeah, right.
You're north.
Right beyond Foz's driveway is me. Well, the second house above there, yeah. Yeah. This side of Moran's place. But anyway, yeah, I'm happy to meet you and
Fine. All right, thanks for your time.
so we took care of the letter. I introduced, the reason I brought these in, where we've got a month in here, I would like you guys to just kind of start musing on how we're going to deal with this issue.
Yeah, let's get a priority list, like.
Yeah, that's right.
4 of them. at
we're
once.
working on the signage already,
Yeah,
and we'll,
let's-
let's continue with the signage.
Yeah.
But the reason this map really brings home the whole issue of this. Because the stream that comes across up here is a USGS recognized intermittent stream. It's an
Intermittent,
extension.
Not permanent.
No, it's an extension of Coldwater Creek.
Yeah, right.
Intermittent.
This other little valley over here where they talk about center line and, let's see, let me get this in the right order so I know, that's the USGS. And then the guy, the surveyor drawing this up on the other side of the site, said there's a reference to the center line of another little stream. Well, before electronic survey mechanisms, you used whatever was visually available to figure out his property boundaries. And there are tons of records out there, plot maps that show stream here and stream there and that sort of stuff.
A
Well,
lot of parcel surveys.
right, and in the
reflect it.
1900s and the 2000s, having a stream was an asset, But now that we've changed the zoning and all of a sudden you've got all these setbacks to deal with, streams have become a serious hazard. but they're built in and the surveyors are not going to change a survey document unless you put some serious effort into convincing them to make it into a drainage swale instead of a stream. Just because that's what's on the documents and have been there for 100 years and this sort of stuff.
Right.
But for the property owner, when they come in to build something on a property, all of a sudden, if there's any hint of a stream, now you gotta deal with all this setback nonsense. That's why I'm sort of anal about dealing with getting this streams issue under control. Neil's to function has to be able to use the modern Tompkins mapper and that sort of stuff. Electronics, it's there, you know, but we've got to figure out how is the town going to deal with this?
Mhm.
You know, the lake shore goes from about 35 or 40 properties right now that have USGS streams to deal with to over 120 properties out of the 200 that are going to have stream setbacks to deal with. The conservation zone goes from about 30 to 80. But this is not just Lakeshore. This is town-wide that it jumps up and everybody gets to deal with it.
And then factor in the DEC changes for
Yeah.
wetlands.
Right.
Right.
But the DEC says we're going to have to go to them and they're gonna define,
Define your
So-
forests,
so why don't we just use the DEC? We gotta go to them anyway. And get the town out of trying to figure out what's a wetland or not a wetland.
Yeah.
If the
right.
DEC, right, the
Yeah.
wetland issue, no, it's totally separate, at least in my mind, it's totally separate from streams.
But our current zoning refers to the USGS street map
Right, for streams,
for street.
stream intermittent
And
and,
every permit.
right. And it specifically calls out the 7.5 minute survey maps.
But it does, we do refer to that, but we also refer to have, whether legit or not, to the survey. What's on the survey, and if there's culvert markers.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, if you have a culvert marker,
right,
you've got an issue.
that's why,
because Things are coming.
when I get in,
You gotta call.
when I get one of these things and that sort of stuff, I sit down and spend the time to go to figure out, is this USGS, is this
Yeah.
Tompkins mapper, is this something that's not either one? And that sort of stuff, so I can begin to understand, but the problem is, if we don't differentiate, these become part of, I believe, the permanent property records. And 30 years up the road, when somebody goes to do something on this property and they go back and pull up the old data, there's gonna be this stream sitting in there, whether we certainly don't have the authority to add it, at least as best I can tell.
But a surveyor does when he draws the parcel map.
No, he doesn't.
When he puts
The
bricks
town,
on-
if, well, he puts it on there, but if the town zoning says, prior to 2019, the town only dealt with 8 or 9 permanent streams in the town. In 2019, they changed the definition and added intermediates.
And our
Well-
zoning setbacks make no differentiation between distance, whether it's intermediate or permanent.
They
It's still
do.
The same.
Yeah,
setback.
No,
yeah, we
no,
do.
there's
No, we
different
do. We have
setbacks.
different-
25 feet for intermediate.
Yeah, and like
50
50
feet for
50 and
100. 50 and
Trumansburg,
100.
Trumansburg Creek and the one going through and Taganik have 100-foot setbacks and that sort of stuff. And then if you get into steep slopes down there on the lake shore, there's different, that table in 124
Okay.
spells it all out. But
Well,
anyway,
first cut it, particularly on the lake shore zone, it's just inventory all the culverts under 89.
Yep, there
well,
you go.
that's, well, pretty close to what they're down to, yeah.
Actually, they're doing that. What is the culvert?
I mean, there are some streams that in the conservation zone that are distinct separate streams, but they come together and come under. one
Come under
culvert.
89. Well,
But
and,
once you get under 89 in the lake shore zone, then
but the Tompkins mapper defines some of these intermittent streams as only going from the lake shore to 89.
well, they started 89.
They start at 89 and go to the lake shore.
Alright.
And then it's got some that don't even show up on the, the property view as a dashed line, but if you go into Stream Saver, it adds some more gullies.
The trouble is, it's not black and white,
No,
and you have to
But-
deal with the drainage.
well, but we have so many
Just
restrictions
really-
already for the lake shore zone and the conservation zone. Kind of my feeling on it is, if these additional intermittent streams only affect those two parts of the town where we have. You know, we have overlay maps, we have everything else already in those zones. What do we gain by adding these intermittent streams in there?
Okay, so given this
Yes,
the argument, what about the late a year? If it's not on one of those maps, we shouldn't
shouldn't
do
consider, it.
anything about it.
Right, that's,
I don't think
well,
that's fair.
I don't think we have a legitimate grounds to bring in these additional streams just because the Tompkins mapper says it's there. Because I think we need to go by the same zoning rules that the town board has approved. So that everybody is playing to the same set of rules.
Right. Well, unless by 2026, the comprehensive plan that changes all the zoning and
Then,
puts it in. But
then,
right now, you're stuck, you are.
yeah,
covered by
we're in
this.
no man's land out here.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, enough of my soapbox.
But I know people dig ditches, you know.
Yeah.
If you own farmland, people dig ditches
So,
everywhere and they.
A motion to adjourn?
Favor.
I think I've taken up enough of your time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Motion- Make a motion to adjourn.
Yep.
meeting.
Second.
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor? All right, we'll get you out of here tonight, Molly.
She's already.
Get your signature.
Yeah, yeah, you got paperwork I will sign.